So the key is, to me, retirement is about your purpose. It's about what do you want to wake up and do? And it's not, they talk about the expansion and the contraction of life. You
Mm.
can be in the contraction of life, meaning kind of like winding things down and still have a purpose. Like,
Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Join us as we help explain exactly what having a solid financial plan means, as Jake draws from years of experience in helping hundreds of individuals get financially organized and focused on their goals. We hope you find Upticks educational, entertaining, and shareable. Now, on to the show.
welcome back to Upticks with Jake and Cory. Cory, welcome to the show.
Jake, thank you for having me.
Cory, got anything fun? Or, a lot of people, this is the most interesting part of our show, which I take offense to because I think we talked about.
That means we're not very interesting. All right.
No, we are
can do that.
interesting. The topics aren't. Anyway, so do you
That's
have
what I
anything
mean.
interesting or fun you want to talk about before we dive into today's topics?
The only thing I wanted to talk about, Jake, was the Chiefs here real quic. I just want to bring this up.
Now remember,
what's
this
your
is
take on
going to
the
be
Chiefs?
dated. This is going to be dated, so don't,
I'm curious, Jake, what your take is. I haven't asked you this question on the conversation around the Chiefs' record and how the team has been lucky winning games this year. I'm just curious if you had any perspective on that.
Yeah, I do. So their record is not indicative of how well they have played. I, though, am a firm believer that I don't think the regular season matters anymore for a team like the Chiefs, other than to get home field advantage. So I'm not really concerned about wins and losses as much as, and this is Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce said this, as long as they are peaking as they enter the playoffs. So I don't really care, is my point. I don't really care about their performance. I think they know what they're doing way more than I do. And so they are seeing where they are weak, and they are hopefully trying to get better in those weak spots and maybe get stronger in their strong spots. But I don't care about the record. You're right. It's been crazy how many games they've won based on luck. So I wish it would be more impactful if they were undefeated still. And they were, because when they lost, it kind of was like, it doesn't matter anymore. It especially doesn't matter anymore to me.
Yeah.
That's my take. What about you? What do you think?
That's good. No, I think I think that there is the fact that the Chiefs are getting lucky. It's probably correlated with the success they've had the last several years, right? Like I think people are familiar with the adage, like the harder that people work, the luckier they seem to get.
Sure.
I think that's probably part of it. But I also think it's really what matters is the score at the end of the game, right? And I think it was Vince Lombardi who said, if winning and losing didn't matter, then we wouldn't keep score. And really, the score at the end of the game is really all that matters. And that record is what does determine home field advantage. So I'm glad to see them keep winning. And it's, whether they win by 40 or by 1, it's a win. So I just thought it's been interesting how many games they've had that have been so close. And frankly, how much conversation there is around whether or not the NFL is trying to rig things in the Chiefs' favor, which is just banter.
They're probably trying to rig it a little bit.
Well, and I guess as long as they're doing it to the Chiefs, but again, we want it to be a sport, right? Anyway, I go on. I digress.
It's not pure. It is not a pure game, Cory, and I'll tell you why. Because there's humans involved, and there's some subjectivity to the penalties. And so I'm just convinced the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, NHL, they're all probably somewhat tilted because in the end, it's a business and it's about money.
Good. I've got an article to talk about on this later today, Jake. So.
Oh, good. And I want to get to that. I'm not going to reveal the Chiefs player's name, but I did play golf with a Chiefs player earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, what does the NFL do or know that the common fan wouldn't know? I asked him this point blank. And he said without hesitation that it is all about money. He said the players want to win and the coaches want to win games, right? However, typically the ownership is more about getting a popular player on their team instead of the best player. So he said, Jake, there could be somebody who is a better wide receiver, but nobody knows who they are. They're not charismatic. There's no social media following. And they'll pick up somebody who is not as good, but has all the fans and can sell jerseys and all those other things all day long.
Hmm.
And I think he was a little frustrated by that, but he also is a very smart player. He understood
Yep.
that's just the way the game is. There's nothing you can do
Yep.
about it. So anyways, there's a little insight. I'm not going to reveal the player. Not going to do
Okay.
that, but
All
maybe
right.
he's watching. So real quick, well, since we already kind of dived into that, I want to get to today's topics, but I do want a quick call to action out there. I've got a fun offer for our audience, Cory. I'm very, very humbled. We now have over 2,000 subscribers on our
Yes.
YouTube channel. Hundreds of people listening every week on Apple iTunes or Spotify. And then, occasionally we hit 2,000 views on YouTube. So what I want to do is I want to offer something for our audience, for our loyal audience, Cory. So for those that don't know, I'm also out there and I'm active on Instagram. My handle is Jake_Falcon_CRPC. So that's Jake Falcon CRPC. Once you go on there, give me a follow. And then if you want a complimentary copy of my book, Retiring Right, we've talked about it on here, Cory. I will happily send over the digital version. I'm not going to send you the hardback version, but I will send you over an electronic PDF of my book free of charge. How about that, Cory? So go out there, follow me on Instagram, send me a message, RR. That's all you got to put in the message, RR, and I'll send you a PDF copy of my book. How about that, Cory? Tis the season to give.
I like it. I was going to ask you if you're going to send a signed copy, but I don't know if you can do that with the
No.
digital watermark.
No, it won't be signed. But I care about the content. That's why I wrote the book. Care about the content. I want to enhance financial literacy. Clearly, if you're watching Upticks every week, you do have a passion for that. So I want to offer more content for you. And there's more great content on Instagram as well. So be sure to follow along.
Quick question on that, Jake, because obviously Upticks, people watch or listen to this. Are you considering doing an audiobook?
I am. Oh, thank you for bringing that up, Cory. Yes. So I'm in the process right now with working with my publisher on finalizing the details.
Awesome.
And then my plan is in Q1 of 2025 to go up to New York City to record in a legitimate studio the audio version, me reading the book. And I'm real excited about that. So yeah, good point, Cory. Thanks for
sweet. Good.
Thanks
That's
for the
awesome.
point there. You knew I was working on that. You knew that.
That's right.
All right, Cory, let's play ball. Let's get into the headlines today. Am I first this week?
Yeah, Jake, you are first. And what we've got here is in the battle against Porch Pirates, people will try anything.
Yeah, Cory. So again, we're in the holiday season. Black Friday just occurred. So I'm sure more and more gifts are getting delivered every day. And I want to ask you first, have you been a victim of porch piracy?
I think the technical answer would be yes, but my wife stopped it before it happened.
Whoa. So
true story. This was very recently, actually.
So wait a minute. Did Cassie tackle somebody? What happened?
Not quite. No, Daisy did the baby. She ran out there. I'm just kidding. It's
wow,
so
Cory.
Long story short, Jake, actually we should talk about this because there was a FedEx truck going down our block. They had a few packages and there was a car several houses back that was slowly, just literally creeping along following FedEx. And the FedEx truck and basically going
Are you kidding me?
No. And we watched this car pull out of our neighbor's driveway after the FedEx truck had been there. And then it pulled forward a little bit. We had something delivered and then the truck drove off. So this car, Jake, drove past our house and then they backed up into our driveway. And Cassie was going outside to pick up the package. I don't think they saw her. And they backed into the driveway. And when somebody was probably about to get out of the car, they looked at the front door and saw that Cassie was already out there and picked up the packages. And then they sped off out of the driveway. This was within the last month.
Wow, Cory. Well, I'm glad she's okay and didn't get I thought they were had the package in their hand and she ripped it out of there, but that's good.
I mean, if she would have been home, the packages would have been gone though.
I know. And that's so here's this, Cory. So let's talk about the article. So there's over 210 million packages stolen from porches across America last year. And so now there's a service out there, Cory. That's why I wanted to bring attention to this article. There's a service called Porch Pals that is basically insurance for stolen packages. So, again, this addresses a significant and growing problem. The problem is, though, Corey, I think people will still steal your stuff, right? It's not like
Correct.
it's not a locked box, it's insurance. And
That's
so
right.
here's the way it works. And then I want to hear your thoughts on it. So the way it works is it's a subscription-based service. Here we go. How about this one, Corey, for another
Another
subscription?
streaming service.
Another
Imagine
subscription.
that.
So this is, by the way, I'm going to be very clear here. I'm not endorsing Porch Pals. I'm just explaining what they do. But today it looks like they charge $120 a year or $15 a month. And you get coverage up to $2,000 worth of deliveries or 3 claims per year. So I think, again, to look into this insurance, if you're going to, let's say you bought Cassie something for $1,500 and neither of you are going to be home because whatever reason, right? She's going to be at her
Sure.
parents. It's going to get delivered and you got to go to work, right? That would be a case. And maybe you just turn this thing on for a month, right? You spend $15, you get the insurance just in case it gets stolen. So again, it's affordable, it's straightforward, and it covers the packages from any retailer is what this says. But the problem is you only get three claims a year. And if you're like my house, Corey, we get way more than 3 packages a year delivered to us. So, it may not cover the full price. If you buy something for $4,000, it's not going to cover it. So it's designed to be user friendly. Reimbursements are direct, usually within 72 hours. It's hassle free. It does require you to link a credit card, which again, if you're already nervous about theft, putting your credit card out there online again could be, fearful. I'd be a little nervous about it. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you have any thoughts on? Would you do this?
I wouldn't. The fact of the matter, though, Jake, for me, is that if I was a routine victim, I suppose, of this, like the example that I just shared with you a moment ago was an anomaly or an oddity, at least for us, that I just don't think I need it. And we're not ordering things that are thousands of dollars and having them regularly delivered to our house.
Toilet paper.
That's right.
Paper towels.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm not getting $4,000. Yeah, the bounty. The prices haven't. I know inflation's out there, but it hasn't gone up that much. What about you?
Yeah.
Would you do this? I just don't.
I think I agree with you. I don't think it's a bad idea, but you're right. Am I going to spend $15 or $120 a year? No, I think like you said, I think if it was happening often at my house, I think I would do something else besides the insurance because the problem is
it's going to keep happening. You're just going to
only
insure
3 claims a year is not that many if it happens all the time. So I don't know. It's a sad deal. It's a sad deal that people are that bold to go to somebody's porch and steal a package off of somebody with it. Not everybody, but a lot of people have Ring cameras.
Of course.
Which I think could help, right? I mean, especially,
Maybe.
I don't know, did your Ring camera show up in your driveway? Could you have gotten that person's license plate?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. So,
right. And now what happens with that information after that, right? I mean, what happens after that occurs?
Good luck with the cops. Not that the cops are bad, but I mean, that's such a small, petty crime that I don't know if I would want the police officer worried about it. I mean, it's like, all right, they stole my paper towels. I want to report it, but I'm just so you know, but otherwise I'm going to move on kind of thing. I want the police officers fighting real crime and protecting and serving us. And it is serving us. Don't get me wrong, but
the more I think about it, Jake, I'm pretty confident that if this was happening often, I would probably stop ordering so much stuff online and having it go to my house.
Yeah, good point.
That would probably be my solution.
Yeah. I'd have a good point, Corey. That's
better yet, go to the store to buy my stuff. Imagine that.
Go to the store. I love the office delivery. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So, all right, good. Let's move on to the next one here, Corey. Corey, the best thing about retirement, according to Wall Street Journal readers. All right, the best thing about. I had this article in the queue. You already had it in here, so I yielded to you. So go ahead. What do you got here?
Thank you. So this was good. And Jake, I think that you and we've talked on the show about obviously retiring right in the book, the content that's in there, the occasional, the loss of identity, some of the challenges that people experience in retirement. I thought this was good to bring up because this is basically readers of the Wall Street Journal sharing, here's the best things about retirement, because a lot of them do describe retirement as a deeply fulfilling phase of life, which I think it's supposed to be, because people have more freedom around their time, especially, right? Whether it's their interests, their passions, whatever it might be. So I just wanted to share, Jake, what I appreciated reading about here from the readers specifically were some of the themes like around personal rhythms, which I think makes a lot of sense. Like if somebody is just a night owl, right, or an early bird or whatever it might be, that just having the ability to control your time each day makes a big difference. Pursuing the passions, community service, health and well-being, and finding the pleasure in simple things in life. And the reason I bring this up is because I do think that when people think about their retirement, Jake, for you, for me, for anybody else who's watching or listening to this, when they're thinking about their own retirement, I very much think that people do financial planning and retirement planning with the intent of that phase being a deeply fulfilling time in their life. And it's encouraging to read about the positive experiences other people have had, but I also recognize that there's a lot of opportunity, Jake, for you and I, and for our clients and the conversations we have to help people set themselves up for retirement so it can really be what they want it to be.
Right. It should be. And again, purpose is so important.
Yep.
It's often overlooked. And a lot of people, I don't know what the numbers are. I'd be curious. There's probably not a good enough survey out there to really scratch my itch there, but I'm curious how many people actually get purpose from their work and how many people don't. Because for a lot of people, I don't know, maybe it's 50-50. Maybe half of the people just work because they need to afford their lifestyle, but they don't really love their job. I bet it's half, maybe more.
I would speculate it's more.
Yeah. So the key is, to me, retirement is about your purpose. It's about what do you want to wake up and do? And it's not, they talk about the expansion and the contraction of life. You can be in the contraction of life, meaning kind of like winding things down, and still have a purpose. Like I would argue you should probably always have a purpose, whatever that is. And maybe it's as simple as of living a healthy lifestyle.
Sure.
Or maybe your new purpose is your grandkids. And that's fine. I think that's a lot of people. I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But defining that, understanding it, checking in with it. And again, I would argue you need to do that before you retire, not because when you retire, it's not too late, but you have a much more turbulent transition when you don't know what your new purpose is. And I love that these people shared freedom, opportunities, well-being, rediscovery, community engagement. That's all good. But the cons are, it's an adjustment period. And you may have health issues, unfortunately, right? Because you're older, and financial concerns are one of the things that we help solve for clients. It's one of the problems we help clients with. And then again, the big one, Cory, especially for men, is that loss of identity. If you're not a wealth advisor, Cory, anymore, what does Cassie need you for? Or if you're not bringing home a paycheck, why does she need you? That's a real, and I'm not joking.
Let's
when I
ask
say
Cassie. I'm just kidding.
and I'm not joking when I say that. And I know your wife loves you, obviously, but like a lot of men,
if that's what if that's the dynamic in the relationship that develops,
even the woman, if the female is the breadwinner, if the female is the breadwinner, and then she no longer has a paycheck, that can be a very big blow to your ego. Even if you've got $4 million, but you're not working anymore, that's a tough thing to handle sometimes. And again, retirement is awesome. I've seen clients do some amazing things and have a lot of fun. So I'm not trying to discount how cool it is. It's just, you have to check in with that purpose, whether you're working or retired. You got to focus on. I check in on mine almost every day, and I look at it often, and I think about it a lot, and I make sure that I'm aligned with that, and that's what gives me energy.
Right. So, I know that's what drives you to, get here early every day, Jake, to continue leading the team and kind of having the vision for the future. So I agree with you completely. I think that for people that are watching and listening, we can't state it enough that these are the things to think about and to talk to your advisor about before you pull the trigger on retirement. Because Jake, you and I have not retired ourselves, but we've worked with hundreds of people who have, and we've seen what's worked and what hasn't.
Yeah, good.
What people wish they could do differently.
Yeah, good. Let's do another one.
All right, Jake. For retirees in their 60s, the move that adds years to a nest egg.
Yeah, and a quick timeout here, Cory. If you're watching or listening to Upticks and you got a question for me or Cory, please feel free to send it in to Luke at falconwealthadvisors.com, and Luke will make sure that your question or topic gets addressed here live
Yes.
on Upticks. Also, please like and share our content. We're very humble, 2,000 subscribers, but we're looking to get to 20,000. Then we'll be looking
And
to
then
get to
200,000.
200,000 and then 2 million, Cory. Because again, we're doing this show to enhance financial literacy. That's why we're waking up, like you said, and coming in here every week and recording, hopefully, informational, educational content for our audience. So, all right, this one was a little bit of clickbait, Cory. Again, this move adds years to a nest egg, and it certainly can. And what they're talking about, and we've talked about on this show before, Cory, are Roth IRA
Mhm.
conversions. And so, what this involves is taking money out of your pre tax IRA, prepaying Uncle Sam taxes on whatever you move over, and slapping that into a Roth IRA. Now, I'll talk about some of the pros here, Cory. Maybe you can talk about some of the cons. So, again, the big pro for us is that there won't be forced required minimum distributions as you enter into your 70s. Another pro is that your heirs will inherit this money tax free. So, again, not only will you not be forced to do this later, when your kids or grandkids or whoever inherits the money, they won't have to pay taxes on it. And then one more pro here, Cory, is that, and really this is a really good sweet spot, is that ideally you convert this, let's say in the 22% bracket, because maybe when you do have to take out distributions, you're going to be in the 24, 28, 30, whatever, you're going to be in a higher bracket later in life. And so you're locking in your tax bracket when you do this conversion. Cory, what's bad about this? This all sounds so good.
It does, right? It is complex as far as the calculations go. There is planning that is required, and there can be the potential, I should say, for unexpected tax liabilities. So, as you and I both know, Jake, the tax planning that we do at Falcon Wealth Advisors with clients is a crucial part of this because there can be, what you have to think about the IRMA surcharges, right? The tax brackets that you're in, if there's an impact on capital gains rates, all of that, it's all connected. So, I just think the complexity of it and the unintended implications or the consequences that can happen without proper planning is the downside. It's one of the downsides.
Good. Give me another one. What's another con?
Paying Uncle Sam up front. That's the big one. I think that's the reason that more people don't convert more dollars every year is that it's painful to write the check to Uncle Sam. You're basically prepaying taxes on retirement dollars that you're not spending that have been or would continue to grow tax deferred otherwise. So I think just the liquidity.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I've met with a lot of people about this, Cory,
Yeah.
and you're right on the mark. People don't want to prepay taxes. They don't want to pay. They're like, why would I pay more taxes this year? Because the problem is, Cory, most people their entire careers have been taught defer, defer, defer.
Correct.
But the problem with deferral is it's not eliminating it. So you're kicking the can down the road, but the problem is that can is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so our job at Falcon Wealth Advisors is to actually unwind that deferral mindset a little bit and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yes, deferral is and can be a smart strategy. However, if you're deferring and just making this thing a bigger monster than it needs to be, that is not so smart. So again, I like it as a con. I understand the con, and it's easy for me to tell someone to convert 100,000 when I'm not having to pay the taxes.
Right.
I completely understand that.
Yep.
However, we want to crunch the numbers for you every year and explain that. Like we say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, you're going to pay 22% on this conversion. If you wait until you're 75, you'd have to pay 33%. So we're saving you 11% in taxes on your money by doing it. Here's a bigger con, Cory, and you haven't brought this up yet, is that there's also a big unknown that we don't know what tax rates are going to be. We don't know what they're going to be 2 years from now, much alone 10 years from now or 20 years
That's
from
right.
now. So that's another tough one that we can't tell clients with certainty that something's a no-brainer. And that's why we need to do tax planning with clients every single year to go over this and try to make the best informed decision based on the information that we have today. Not that some speculation in the future, but what we know today is how we do it. So, yeah, good one. I like the pro con there. Maybe we should do that format now, Cory.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And I just did a Roth conversion myself, Jake. Actually, Cassie had an IRA that we did a Roth conversion just within the
for you,
last few days.
Cory. Good
I
for
didn't
you.
want to wait until December 31st, first off. But again,
Yeah.
going through the tax planning process, you and I do that too with our team.
Good. All right, good. We got time, Cory. Let's squeeze in one more here. How about that?
Okay.
And maybe this is what you wanted to talk about. All right.
It
So,
is.
Cory, I literally can't stop the descent of a modern sports fan. Now, okay, Cory, now we're switching it up on you. I want to hear you tee this up, and then I want you to go over the pros, and I'm going to poke holes in what you say, and you can poke holes in what I say next week. Let's hear
Okay.
it.
Good. So first off, I just want to bring awareness to this. We started the show today, Jake. We were talking about the Chiefs record, but if anybody out there's watched any NFL games, paid attention, there's the gambling aspect of it all is right in your face. And real small on the bottom of the screen, it says, if you've got a gambling problem, call this phone number. Very much in our faces. I remember seeing at the Super Bowl last year, Jake, a picture that was taken of the Jumbotron in Las Vegas. And literally the only word on the screen said bet. So that's why I think it's important to bring awareness to this,
That's
because
so bad.
this was an article about a family, and it was actually a veteran that had gambling issues in his past that he had gotten past, but ultimately sports gambling, the temptation that was there to sort of climb back into it, really blew a hole open. And this guy talked about, Jay, he's probably between my age and yours, married, a couple of young kids, $100,000 in debt.
Oh, I'm so
Gambling
sorry
debt.
to hear that.
I
Hate to
know.
hear that.
And he talked specifically, Jake, and what I really want to bring awareness to though around all of this is the addiction aspect of it is exactly what this was talking about. This guy had gambling issues, got over it, but the fact that he used to have to go to the casino and now it's just in his pocket has made it a whole lot easier. So it's just been exacerbated by the convenience and the accessibility of apps for people, for people to be able to do this. And the reality is, I mean, the story here was a little tragic, Jake, but I mean, the
Horrible.
description, the helplessness, the way that this guy felt. And I'm thinking about somebody with a young daughter at home. Like I'm thinking about somebody with young kids, and this is all happening in private. And he had to reveal this to his wife after the fact. She thought, so anyway. So
I hate to hear
what
that.
I wanted to bring up was
You're supposed to be pro for, though. Let me hear the pros to sports betting, Cory.
All right. You want to go over the pros?
Yeah.
Economic benefits. The legalized sports betting can generate significant revenue through governments, through taxes and licensing fees, and that can be used theoretically to fund public services and infrastructure projects.
What else? List them all. Let's hear them.
Job creation. Sports betting industry can create jobs in various sectors. Consumer protection. Legalization allows for regulation, which can protect consumers from fraud and ensure fair play. And increased engagement. It can, and really going back to the Chiefs player that you played golf with, Jake, increased engagement means more money. And I suppose that can ultimately be a positive for the teams and for the game.
Cory, you got any sports betting? I got a sports betting story for you.
Okay.
Did you ever do sports betting?
A handful of times.
Yeah. I don't do it anymore. I'm reformed. I don't know. I don't know if that means I'll never do it, but here's what happened. I got two stories for you. Okay, this was a long time ago though, so I don't mind sharing it. I'm 43.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I was, whatever. So I worked at a golf course in college, and one of the pros working at this golf course had a bookie. You know what a bookie is, Cory?
I do.
And I think it was the Super Bowl or the playoffs or something was going on big. And buddy of mine, we asked the pros, like, hey, can you put a bet in with your bookie? Sure. And we told them what we wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we win. And we see the guy like the next week or whatever. And like, hey, we won. And he was like, oh, I forgot to put it in. So you talk about corruption. There's I don't know the truth. Either he did forget to put it in, or he put it in and he took our money. I'll never know, and I don't care because it wasn't. I'm not talking. I was a degenerate. I was a kid. I wasn't betting a lot. And then another story. I did online. I don't know if it was on the Cayman. This again was probably in college or soon after.
Okay.
I won a little bit. I'm talking like $50. I'm not talking about thousands. I'm talking about $50 or whatever. I remember I won a little bit of money in college basketball. Then I started betting on the Royals, Cory, baseball, and I lost and I lost and I lost.
Okay.
I think it was all gone. $50. I'm not talking $200. Like it wasn't a lot of money. But then, Cory, I got out of the college world, right? And I got a real job and started making real money and working real hours. And I don't like to lose money.
That's right.
So sports betting doesn't do it for me at all. Because, I make good money now, and the amount of money I would have to gamble to get me excited, if I lost that much,
Yeah.
I would be so mad at myself. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So, you're right. The article, gambling addiction is horrible. I don't like them legalizing these sinful. I don't want to get on a preachy here, but like,
That's
I
all
don't
right. Go
like
ahead.
it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Me neither.
You're creating addiction. You're encouraging addiction. Now, crime and corruption. So again, even though it is technically legalized, that still brings in there's other illegal activities that can come around that. Like you mentioned, social breakdowns with your family. Could you imagine, Corey, if you lost $10,000 and you had to go home and I'm sure you would tell Cassie because you guys have a great relationship. You have a healthy relationship. But could you imagine? Or worse, what if you hid it from her and didn't tell her? That'd be even worse.
That's what this guy did. And then he ended up with debt that equaled his annual income.
It's so sad.
And I do think this is important, though, Jake. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
you're
I just want
supposed to be a pro. You're supposed to be for this, but go ahead.
That was not my point in including this article, but I hear you. The other piece I just wanted to mention, though, too, and I think, Jake, is really where, frankly, just the issue that I have lies. Part of it is that the tactics that these companies use to entice people. Somebody goes away for a few weeks and they get a message, hey, we deposited a couple $100 in your account for you to go in. I mean, that kind of stuff. It's just that's what this guy talked about. It kept pulling them back in, and they knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing.
It's not good. Now I have a question. I wonder if gambling addiction is as prevalent in Europe, because I feel like gambling has been much more accepted over there for many decades. And I don't know if it's as much of a problem over there. I don't know. Maybe it is. I have no idea. So
I don't know the answer to that one either, but I think the big takeaway around all of this is just for people that bring awareness to it. I'm not anybody's parent. I'm not anybody's parent, right? Like, I'm not going to tell somebody what they should and shouldn't do. That's not my place. But I think to bring awareness to what you're really trying to accomplish, like, Jake, even your story of, a handful of bucks, something for fun, versus this is what I'm going to try to count on as something to make
that's
me
horrible.
money, or invest, or doing this with money that you shouldn't be.
Right. Right. If it's a thrill for you and it's entertainment, and as long as your financial plan is rock solid, right, and everything's taken care of, like you said, who am I to judge? But anything can be an addiction, though, Corey, right? Like, you can drink too much alcohol, you can smoke cigarettes, you can eat too much, right, or whatever. You can watch too much TV. Like, a lot of things are addictive. So, again, I don't think the legalization is the only people to blame. They've definitely made it easier to access, which I think would encourage more likely of more people getting addicted. But in the end, we talked about this on the show before. If you want to be free in a free country, you have to have self-accountability, and you have to have discipline, self-discipline, and hold yourself accountable. And get help. Call the number. Get help. If you've got a problem and you recognize that you're addicted to it, get help. That's what these people and professionals are for. Call the number. See a therapist, whatever you need to do, a doctor, whatever it needs to be, go out there and get help. What a great message. I'm glad you included that, Corey.
All right,
good. I know we got to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you all for tuning in Upticks. We hope you have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, falconwealthadvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.